So today is the first part in a series I'm going to be doing called Objections to Atheism. Now, with that title, I'd like to make it clear that atheism is not an active belief system. It's not an active position either. So the title is actually kind of misleading. But in this first episode, I figured I'd tackle a couple of, arguments for God, or objections to atheism. So for this first episode, I figured I'd tackle one of the most popular ones that I hear, not necessarily from apologetics, because even they think this is a little stupid, and this is a pretty old argument, but I still hear it, so I figured I want to tackle it. So if you didn't read the title, it's Pascal's wager. Now before we tackle this, I figured I'd give some background into the guy, Pascal. Blaise Pascal is a 17th century philosopher, mathematician, and theologian. He basically put forth this what if argument, what if you're wrong argument rather, where it's more of an appeal to rationalize the belief in God, right? So if you're a rational person, you'd believe in God simply because of the trade-offs, right? You spend an eternity in heaven. I mean, if you believe in God, even if the odds are against the existence of one, then you don't suffer eternal consequence. The point basically is, I'll put up a diagram on screen if I can't explain it properly. I'm so sorry. The point basically is that, if a rational person sees this argument would believe in God. A rational person would believe in God simply because you don't so that you don't suffer the consequences, right? Because if you believe in God, you may suffer now in this earth, which a lot of Christians may call a temporary, world, a temporary sinful and corrupt world, but you get to spend an eternity in heaven because you believed in God. And if you don't believe in God, then you may be happy here because, apparently being happy on earth is sinful, but you experience eternal punishment because you didn't believe in God, because you rejected the God. You rejected the existence of God. So that's the basic point. So if you heard this for the first time, or to anyone who's heard of this argument, one of the first questions that may pop up is, which God? Yeah, that is a good question. Which God? Because as it stands, there are thousands and probably millions of religions, not just today, but from all time, right? Which one of those are right? And in Christianity alone, there's a lot of denominations, and even though they may have similar beliefs, I guess, a lot of them are still different in a way. In fact, different enough that they can split off, make their own church, and proclaim themselves as the chosen one, right? So, which one, right? Discounting other religions, let's just say Christianity, which is a very biased way of looking at this argument. Which one, right? Is it the ones who follow the Bible the most? But even then, most Christians claim that they follow the Bible. It's just that they have varying interpretations of it, varying ways of looking at it, right? So, which one, right? The one that appeals to me? Well, which one? So, a major point in this argument is, even if the odds are stacked against the existence of God, you would, as a rational person, would probably, or much rather should, believe in the existence of one in order to avoid divine punishment. So let's take a placeholder, for example. Let's go with the Christian God. Which one every Christian God only has, one God, right? But it kind of varies as to the interpretation of the personality of that God, the explanation for the scriptures that God supposedly gave over to his people, and also the claim that this supposed Christian God is omnibenevolent, he's omniscient, he's all that, right? So the first question that I'd like to ask, if you only love and believe God out of fear of punishment, is it really love? Does it seem like he's just threatening us, right? Because a lot of people may say, oh, it's a choice if you love God or not. It's a choice whether or not you do this. He's not forcing you to do anything. Excuse me, will any person willingly say that they don't love God, right? Almost all people, I don't know any who don't, but almost all people believe in God also love him, right? Have you met someone who believes in God and simultaneously hates him? No, because Because the threat of divine punishment is always there. I'm not saying people are religious just so that they don't burn in hell, but you can't deny that that is a very motivating factor. And also, if you believe in something in which you yourself know there is no proof of, are you really believing in it? Now you might be like, well, that's what religious people do. They believe in something there's no proof of. Well, those said religious people have these things that they call proof. It's still proof to them, right? The whole threat of the divine punishment, does that count as proof? The whole rational argument, does that count as proof of God, or just motivation, or just motive to believe in one? And also, for this Christian God who is supposedly benevolent, you run into scrutiny once you realize he's not really loving for threatening punishment for rejecting him when he doesn't make things clear or prove himself. Let's take the Bible for example. There's a lot of metaphors, there's a lot of figurative speech present in the Bible. That makes it, one, a little kind of artistic, and two, scary, because this whole belief stuff, it's life or death, right? When you make a mistake as to what a poem means in your English school, you don't get sent to hell, right? And in this one, if you got this wrong, supposedly you do go to hell. Apparently that's how strict it is. So is he really loving for, one, not making things clear, and two, for not really revealing himself at all in ways that we would understand, right? I often hear theists say that, what will make you believe in God? Well, I may know, but you know who certainly knows what will make me believe? That's right, the all-intelligent God himself, right? So if anyone would know what would make me and other people believe, it's him, and yet he doesn't do anything about it. So let's flip the script here a little bit. I kind of went on a little tangent there, I'm sorry. But let's flip the script. What if you're wrong, right? And I don't mean in you're a Christian and you're wrong, atheism is actually the way to go. Because as Pascal's argument has shown us, if atheism is true and there is no God, you don't really suffer anything. It's not really a lose-lose situation, as in the same way if, you know, an atheist is wrong and there actually is a God, even though we've just shown why that argument doesn't really work. So here's the question I'd like to pose. What if you're Christian and the Islam God is real, right? And the day of judgment comes, doomsday or whatever they believe, it comes, and then it's revealed that you're wrong. The Islamic God is real and you're gonna be punished in eternity, or whatever the Islam equivalent of hell is. You're gonna be punished for disbelieving in Allah or something like that, right? Or let's make it a little tighter. Let's say you're a Christian and let's say the Seventh-day Adventists got it right? And you don't, I don't know, let's say you don't rest on Saturday, right? And you get burned in hell for that, right? Of course, you'd be furious, right? Well, you'd question it because you think you had all the signs. You think all this stuff you saw in your religious experience were the right signs. You see what I'm trying to say? You'd probably question, hey, this was what I was taught. This was what I knew. This is what I've been studying. This is what I dedicated my life to, and I'm wrong. And as an atheist, I would say, well, that's pretty much the same thing I would say, right? I lived by the signs, and so do you. It just so happened that you, a different denomination of Christianity, just so happened to consider different things which I don't consider signs. You consider these things as signs of, or proof rather, of your belief. So in reality, all of us are atheists. It's just so happened that people like me, or atheists, as they are called today, they just take atheism one step further, or much rather one religion further. So, in conclusion, I personally consider Pascal's wager one of the worst arguments for the existence of God, or just objections to atheism. Sure, it's, you know, it's kind of existential in a little bit, because what if I'm wrong, right? But what if you're wrong, right? We're all wrong. And at the end of the day, we're going by evidence. And there are certain things that you may find as evidence or proof of your God, and I don't. That's really the difference here. You may put a higher value on something like personal experience and say, oh, that's how I know that this denomination's idea of God is the right one, and these are the certain laws we should follow, right? While other denominations may not agree. You may see or hear miracles from this religion, but then just discount the miracles that supposedly happened in other religions. So in reality, all of us could be wrong, but the reason why I stand at this position with my belief, or lack thereof, I guess, is because I go by evidence. You see, most of us, a lot of atheists, are actually sort of ex-religious, I guess, or they were religious at some point. A lot of atheists were religious at some point, and all of us were in this quest for God, quest for better understanding of God, quest for even the proof of God, and we lost our faith in the process. We lost our faith in the pursuit of truth and better understanding. You see, I can feel for a lot of religious people here. We're all in this quest for God, even though a lot of Christians might say that, oh no, it's God's quest for humanity. But in reality, all of us are, or at least all of us at one time of our life, were trying to find God, and we just didn't. And now you may consider certain things as proof of your God. I just don't. Anyways, that's all I have to say for Pascal's wager. If I missed anything, or if you'd like me to discuss anything, please let me know in the comments. I'm thinking of doing the moral argument next, although that would be, I guess, kind of controversial. Just kidding, no one watches my videos, but that would be kind of controversial because I have a lot of different opinions about morality, but I think it should be an interesting conversation.